After years of turmoil, Sister Wives just delivered Kody Brown's most shocking confession yet. Hello friends, welcome to the Daily Gossip News Update. I'm Olivia and I hope you're well by God's grace. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Sister Wives is back and Kody Brown is eager to make another massive change in his life. Or at least that's how he presented things. Kody was typical Kody until he cracked it all open, switching positions by the end of the shockingly candid conversation. Despite currently being monogamous, Kody revealed to his wife, Robyn Brown, that he'd like to consider being polygamous again. With caveats, of course. The crucial dinner chat was prompted by Robyn's relative asking if they were still open to a plural marriage. Eager at first, there's an almost immediate switch within this single chat, thanks to an epiphany that maybe it's not what he truly wants. What he really wants is Robyn, with the very personal decision floating out into the ether. Neither Kody nor Robyn shut down the idea, as polygamy isn't necessarily out of the realm of possibility. It's been his life. But for Kody, it was not just finding another person to join the fray with contingencies and desire to return to physical intimacy with a new potential wife. Is that a deal breaker for Robyn or just Kody showboating? Let's ride the Sister Wives roller coaster, shall we? The Special Forces, world's toughest test star, has been spiritually married to Robyn since 2010. With his other wives, Kody Brown, Janelle Brown, and Mary Brown, he stated that those separations felt like a walk of shame. Perhaps it was because it was out of his hands. Nevertheless, when Robyn approached the conversation, she didn't know how to respond as she didn't want to speak for him. Kody reminded Robyn that prior to their relationship, she had turned down qualified, worthy individuals for marriage because of their disinterest in plural marriage. Hoping to find common ground, Kody turned the tables on Robyn. Was there any value in living polygamously again? And what would it mean to the future? Robyn shared her dream of the possibility of finding someone who would be really supportive and wanted a relationship with not just Kody but Robyn too. Kody was eager to open up the idea, but he had genuine concerns. "I think you and I share something very special," Kody replied. "But if it's not duplicable, it could put us at risk." And then came the make or break ultimatum. "There's something I want maybe more than you do. My primary motivation, I'm afraid at this state in my life, would be..." "Yeah, just how good-looking she is," Robyn chuckled, but Kody, coming off poorly, was dead serious. It was his way or the highway. In the end, physical intimacy might put their marriage at risk. As Kody told the camera with a desire to avoid wife drama, "She would have to adore Robyn so much that I would never, ever have to worry about whether she was competing with Robyn for my love and affection." As a reminder, this was the downfall of the original trio of wives. And yet, all this back and forth led to the revelation that he was actually done with polygamy. "The idea of it just breaks my heart," he shared. "So, it's you and me, baby? Monogamy, does it work for you?" Robyn was all in. The Browns sealed it with a kiss. And there, our whiplash ends, analyzing this relationship-altering conversation. It was evident that the Browns were eager to endure the bad days, to celebrate the good days together. The desire to go back to the past was likely due to its familiarity. They were no longer bound to plural marriage, but until Mary left, it was all they had known. So why entertain the prospect? Beyond crafting a fascinating moment of character development, what's missing is the acknowledgement of the consequences. Robyn should know what it was like to be the new woman in an already established plural marriage, watching the turmoil his previous wives went through. Why did it even cross her mind? The reality of the situation is that love is not a guarantee. And the risk of losing their relationship was no longer worth it. They emerged as winners. Yet Kody's true nature remained evident. Kody is an individual stuck in his ways. His moral compass and personal conviction are unlike those of many people in the media. It may seem jarring to see his willingness to go all in on Robyn, but then he switched on his fascinating mind and became that loathsome person again. He could have left on a path to change, but tried to lighten the mood by dragging his exes, referring to them as Robyn's sister, which is so. Is Kody mature enough to go down this road without breaking her? Or maybe it's been Robyn all along. If so, why did he put these other women through decades of turmoil? It was a profound moment for Kody, but he's still out for himself. Maybe by circumstance, it's a new era of Sister Wives. But it only works if Kody changes. Sister Wives Kody Brown gets real. About the show, criticism and backbiting. Kody Brown is getting real about how his experience on Sister Wives has changed on the heels of his appearance on Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. He talked about how the two shows are very different. In a way, he seems to prefer his time on Special Forces, considering the standouts for him on Sister Wives are the criticism and backbiting. Kody is the star of the long-running TLC series, In the past several years, the relationships in the show imploded, and Kody's earlier wives divorced him. So, as Sister Wives launches season 20, Kody has only one wife. Looks like he's realized that navigating landmines might be easier than navigating relationships. Kody's name was a surprise when he was announced on the Special Forces cast. But he told people that the two shows are very different and that contrast is something he's grateful for. I really appreciated the difficulty of Special Forces because it was very life-affirming, he explained. You accomplish a task, very difficult, with other people, and there's a camaraderie you develop for it, he added sadly. Sister Wives has really become an experience of criticism and backbiting. The experience with Special Forces was life-affirming in the sense that I got so much out of it, almost like a pivot away from my life, my real life. So Kody found it easier to complete difficult physical and mental military-style challenges than navigate his marriages. That actually sounds about right for him. Despite rubbing a few other contestants the wrong way, Kody was kept too busy on Special Forces crawling through mud or rappelling out of a helicopter. The Brown patriarch shared his biggest takeaway from Special Forces was advice from veteran Rudy Reyes. He said, "What are you doing that you should not be doing? And what should you be doing that you are not doing? It's a lesson I've started applying in my life. I could have used this 10 years ago. Perhaps if he had applied this years ago, maybe his marriages wouldn't have broken down." Christine and Kody divorced in 2021, the year after Janelle confirmed their separation, and then days later, his marriage to Mary was also finally over. Now, Kody is left with Robyn and is navigating whether or not to add another wife to the mix. Here's hoping what he learned from Special Forces makes him a better person. When it comes to reality television families, few names spark as much fascination and controversy as Kody Brown and his unconventional household. From TLC's long-running series Sister Wives, since the show first aired in 2010, millions of viewers have been drawn into the complex web of relationships, struggles, and shifting dynamics within the Brown family. At the center of it all has always been Kody, the patriarch whose dream of living a plural marriage inspired the series in the first place. But today, more than a decade later, that dream looks drastically different. Once celebrated for showcasing the idea of a united polygamous family navigating life together, the Browns have splintered apart. Christine Brown left Kody in 2021, followed by Janelle Brown and then Mary Brown, leaving Robyn Brown as his only remaining wife. What started as a household of 4 women and 1 man has now narrowed into a traditional marriage, something Kody once insisted he would never want, and yet, despite his fractured relationships and ongoing heartbreak, Kody has recently made headlines for hinting that he might not be done with plural marriage entirely. The shocking revelation came when he suggested that he could consider taking on another wife under one very specific condition. For longtime fans of Sister Wives, this raises endless questions. What could that condition possibly be? Why now, after losing 3 marriages, would Kody even entertain the idea of courting another woman? And how does Robyn, often labeled the favorite wife, feel about this possibility? This article will take a deep dive into the topic, exploring Kody's evolving attitude toward plural marriage, the meaning behind his condition for a new wife, and how this revelation could impact not only his personal life, but also the future of the Sister Wives franchise, the evolution of Kody Brown. From idealistic to isolated, to understand why this condition is such a pivotal revelation, it's important to revisit Kody's journey. When viewers first met the Brown family, Kody was a confident and charismatic man who proudly embraced plural marriage. He spoke often about the spiritual importance of living in a large family, describing it as a divine calling that brought him fulfillment and joy. Each of his wives at the time, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, played a vital role in the family structure, but as years passed, cracks in the foundation began to show. Disagreements about finances, parenting, housing, and Kody's perceived favoritism toward Robyn eroded trust within the family. Christine's departure was a turning point, triggering a domino effect that left Kody disillusioned, angry, and even bitter. He openly admitted during the season 18 tell-all episodes that he had lost faith in the very principles that once defined his life. So, for him to circle back now and express openness to a new wife is nothing short of startling. It suggests that, despite all the turmoil, Kody still clings to the possibility of rebuilding his plural lifestyle, but this time, it will only happen on his terms. The weight of a condition, the idea that Kody would set a condition before welcoming a new wife, is revealing in itself. It demonstrates how much he has changed since his early days on Sister Wives. Back then, Kody presented himself as open, adventurous, and spiritually guided when it came to plural marriage. His decisions were framed as part of a higher purpose, not conditional demands. Now, however, the situation is different. He has endured heartbreak, public criticism, and estrangement from several of his children. He is no longer a man expanding a family with optimism. He is a man protecting himself from further emotional collapse. That's why this one condition has sparked so much curiosity. It isn't about romantic ideals anymore. It's about control, boundaries, and perhaps even survival. Fan speculation and curiosity. Fans have latched onto this revelation with fervor. Social media threads are filled with theories about what Kody's condition could be. Some speculate that it involves absolute loyalty to him and unquestioned support for his leadership, given how betrayed he has felt by his ex-wives. Others think it might be about accepting Robyn's dominance within the household, ensuring that any new wife doesn't challenge her position. Still others wonder if the condition is something far more practical, such as financial stability, shared religious beliefs, or even willingness to appear on television. Regardless of what the condition is, it has reignited conversations around Kody's future and the direction of sister wives. Fans are both skeptical and intrigued. Some argue that no woman would willingly step into such a complicated situation, while others believe there will always be someone drawn to the allure of fame or the challenge of fixing Kody. Why? This matters for sister wives. Kody's hint about a potential new wife isn't just personal gossip. It has direct implications for the survival of the TLC series. Sister Wives has built its entire identity around the concept of plural marriage. Now that Kody only has one wife, fans have openly questioned whether the show can even continue. TLC thrives on drama, and the possibility of a new wife entering the picture would provide fresh storylines at a time when the show risks running out of material. Moreover, a new wife could dramatically alter family dynamics once again. Would Robyn accept her? Would Kody's adult children view it as another betrayal? Would the ex-wives comment on it publicly? These questions create endless opportunities for episodes, interviews, and tell-all drama, the lifeblood of reality television. To understand Kody Brown's present outlook and his so-called one condition for potentially taking a new wife, it's essential to revisit the timeline of his relationships. Over the years, each wife has brought something unique into Kody's life while also exposing the cracks that ultimately caused the polygamous empire to crumble. The first marriage. Mary Brown. Kody's journey into plural marriage began in 1990, when he legally married Mary Barbara Brown. At the time, Kody was young, idealistic, and deeply rooted in his faith, which emphasized the principle of celestial plural marriage as a spiritual calling. Mary was supportive of this lifestyle, and for a while, the couple envisioned a future where their family would grow in size, faith, and harmony. However, Mary's role in the family soon became complicated. As the first wife, she was often seen as the one who set the foundation for the family's polygamous structure. But her marriage with Kody faced challenges early on. Fertility struggles limited the couple to one child together, Leon, which weighed heavily on Mary while Kody pursued additional marriages. Mary's sense of identity within the family shifted. Over the years, Kody and Mary's relationship became increasingly strained. Their connection eroded to the point where Kody admitted he no longer felt romantic love for her. The breaking point came after Mary's involvement in a catfishing scandal in 2015, which Kody described as a betrayal. While they technically remained married for years after, the intimacy and trust between them evaporated. Ultimately, Mary confirmed her split from Kody in early 2023. In 1993, Kody entered into a spiritual marriage with Janelle Brown, marking the beginning of a very different type of relationship. Janelle was pragmatic, career-focused, and financially minded, which contrasted with Mary's emotional approach. This balance initially worked well for Kody, who admired Janelle's independence and strength. Janelle went on to have 6 children with Kody, making her one of the most central figures in raising the Brown family. Unlike Mary, Janelle seemed more comfortable with the practical side of polygamy, often describing herself as not particularly jealous or emotional about sharing her husband. However, cracks eventually developed in their marriage, too. While Janelle maintained respect for Kody, she often expressed frustration over his controlling behavior and his increasing favoritism toward Robyn. By the time the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Janelle and Kody were frequently clashing about rules, responsibilities, and family priorities. Their disagreements escalated into full-blown separations. And by late 2022, Janelle announced that she and Kody had officially split. Perhaps the most publicly dramatic of Kody's marriages was his 1994 spiritual union with Christine Allred Brown. Christine embodied the role of the nurturing, traditional polygamous wife. She prided herself on being a homemaker and mother, raising 6 children with Kody while supporting the household's broader needs. Christine, however, grew increasingly disillusioned as the years went on. Her complaints often centered on feeling neglected, undervalued, and treated as less than compared to Robyn. One of Christine's most painful confessions came when she admitted that she no longer wanted to live in a marriage where intimacy was absent. In season 16 of Sister Wives, Kody bluntly told her that he was no longer interested in an intimate relationship with her, which became the breaking point. In 2021, Christine shocked fans by publicly announcing her separation from Kody on Instagram. She then relocated to Utah with her children, leaving the polygamous lifestyle behind entirely. Christine has since found happiness with her new husband, David Woolley, whom she married in 2023. Her departure was the domino that eventually led to Janelle and Mary leaving too, exposing just how fractured the family had become. Finally, in 2010, viewers were introduced to Janelle Brown, who joined the family as Kody's 4th wife. Unlike the other wives, Kody legally married Robyn in 2014 after divorcing Mary. The legal marriage allowed Kody to adopt Robyn's 3 children from a previous relationship. Strengthen. Reality television has a way of pulling viewers into the deeply personal lives of its stars, blurring the lines between public persona and private struggles. Among the cast of TLC's Sister Wives, no one embodies this more than Mary Brown, the first wife of Kody Brown and one of the most recognizable faces in the series. For over a decade, Mary has shared her triumphs, heartbreaks, and reinventions with millions of viewers. From her early years as the loyal first wife in a polygamous family, to her more recent chapters of independence, Mary has always worn her emotions on her sleeve. So when news broke that Mary had lost someone dear to her close friend Mark Stidham, fans immediately paid attention. Known for her heartfelt posts on social media, Mary chose to honor Mark's memory publicly, crafting a tribute that resonated with followers who understand the pain of losing a loved one. Her message was simple yet powerful: grief, when expressed openly, becomes a bridge that connects those who mourn with those who support. This tribute is more than just a farewell to a friend. It's another moment in Mary's ongoing journey of resilience, reflection, and self-discovery. After enduring years of emotional distance from Kody, navigating the fallout of the catfishing scandal, and eventually confirming her separation from the polygamous family, Mary has relied heavily on her circle of friends. Mark Stidham was one of those anchors in her life, someone who provided companionship and encouragement. Outside the complicated world of Sister Wives, the decision to share her grief publicly reflects not only Mary's authenticity but also her deep connection with her fans. Over the years, viewers have witnessed her vulnerabilities, her loneliness in a plural marriage, her search for identity after her separation, and her struggles to reconcile faith with personal happiness. Now, through this tribute, she allows fans to see yet another facet of her humanity: her mourning. The power of grief in the public eye. Public figures like Mary often face unique challenges when dealing with personal loss. On one hand, grief is a deeply private experience, one that can overwhelm and isolate. On the other hand, being a television personality means that fans expect openness. Mary has long struck a balance between protecting her heart and letting fans in on her struggles. Her tribute to Mark illustrates this balance perfectly. Instead of withdrawing into silence, she chose to share her emotions, honoring her friend's memory in a way that also invited fans to reflect on their own experiences with loss. This transparency is part of what has made Mary a sympathetic figure, even when her storylines on Sister Wives have sparked controversy. Why Mark Stidham's passing matters for many casual viewers of Sister Wives. The name Mark Stidham may not immediately ring a bell. He wasn't part of the show's main cast, nor was he frequently mentioned on screen. But in Mary's life, he played a significant role. To those close to her, Mark wasn't just a friend, he was part of the support system that carried her through some of her darkest days. The fact that Mary took the time to share his passing with her large audience signals how important he was to her. Friends like Mark represent the kind of chosen family that many people, especially those emerging from strained or broken marriages, rely upon. For Mary, who has often spoken about feeling isolated within her polygamous marriage, friendships outside the Brown household became essential for her emotional well-being. A chapter in Mary's ongoing story. It's important to situate this tribute within the broader narrative of Mary's life as fans have come to know it. Over the last several years, Mary has been in a season of transformation. She officially separated from Kody Brown after years of distance, choosing instead to pursue her own independence. She has invested in her bed and breakfast business, strengthened her personal friendships, and leaned into opportunities for self-growth. The passing of Mark Stidham is a reminder that even as Mary builds a new life for herself, she is not immune to loss. In fact, moments like this may hit harder for someone already navigating so much transition. For Mary, honoring Mark publicly seems to be her way of not only processing her grief but also celebrating the relationships that have sustained her outside the context of Sister Wives, the fans. Perspective. Its Sister Wives fanbase has always been highly engaged, dissecting every post, every interview, and every hint of what's to come in the Brown family saga. Mary's tribute sparked a wave of responses from fans who expressed sympathy and solidarity. Many praised her for speaking openly about grief, while others drew parallels between Mark's passing and the broader theme of loss that has defined much of Mary's storyline over the years: loss of intimacy, loss of faith in plural marriage, and loss of her identity within the family. In many ways, Mary's tribute to Mark gave fans a different lens through which to see her, not just as Kody's estranged wife or as a reality star, but as a woman coping with the universal experience of saying goodbye to someone who mattered deeply. Setting the stage for the article. This article will explore the significance of Mary's tribute to Mark Stidham in depth. We'll begin by introducing Mark himself, who he was, what role he played in Mary's life, and why his passing is significant. We'll then explore how their friendship developed, what Mary's tribute revealed, and how fans reacted. From there, we'll zoom out to consider the bigger picture: what this moment says about Mary's personal growth, the role of friendship in her healing journey, and how her openness about grief connects to broader themes of resilience. The goal is not just to analyze one tribute, but to use it as a lens for understanding who Mary Brown is today, a woman who has faced heartbreak but continues to find strength in unexpected places. When Mary Brown shared the heartbreaking news of her friend Mark Stidham's passing, many Sister Wives fans asked the same question: who was Mark, and why was he so important to Mary? While not a household name like the Browns, Mark played a role behind the scenes that reveals much about Mary's personal and professional journey. Understanding his story helps shed light on why Mary's tribute struck such an emotional chord with her and with the audience that has followed her ups and downs for over a decade. Mark's background. Mark Stidham was known in entrepreneurial circles as the co-founder and former CEO of LuLaRoe, a multi-level marketing clothing company that rose to fame in the mid-2010s. Alongside his wife, Deanne, Mark helped build LuLaRoe into a billion-dollar empire, famous for its colorful leggings and promise of financial independence for women seeking flexible work from home opportunities. While LuLaRoe became controversial, eventually facing lawsuits and public criticism over its business practices, Mark himself was often described by those who knew him as ambitious, charismatic, and deeply committed to his family. He and Deanne shared not only a business partnership, but also a strong personal bond rooted in faith and community. It was within this larger network of entrepreneurial and faith-based circles that Mark and Mary's paths crossed. How Mary and Mark connected. Mary Brown, beyond being a reality TV star, has long sought out opportunities outside the Brown family to define herself. Over the years, she became involved in several business ventures, from her bed and breakfast in Utah to her work as an independent retailer for LuLaRoe. This business connection is where her friendship with Mark blossomed. As one of the top figures in LuLaRoe, Mark was both a leader and mentor to many women in the organization. For Mary, who was navigating her own identity crisis amid a strained marriage, the LuLaRoe community provided not only a business platform but also a support system. Mark, along with others in the company, encouraged Mary to embrace her independence, develop confidence as a businesswoman, and find empowerment outside of her role as Kody's wife. Over time, Mary's professional association with LuLaRoe transformed into personal friendships with its leaders, including Mark. What started as a business connection evolved into genuine camaraderie. Mark's role in Mary's life. For Mary, the friendship she shared with Mark was more than professional courtesy. It became a vital part of her personal healing journey. After decades of feeling overlooked in her marriage, Mary began leaning on her friendships for affirmation and support. Mark was one of those people who reminded her that she was valued beyond the confines of her polygamous family dynamic. Through her involvement in LuLaRoe, Mary found opportunities to travel, attend conventions, and surround herself with like-minded individuals. Mark often played a central role at these events, motivating and inspiring those in attendance. His encouragement helped Mary tap into her own strengths and recognize her potential outside the Brown family's shadow. In this sense, Mark was more than just a friend. He was part of the scaffolding that held Mary up during some of her most vulnerable years. The human side of Mark. It's easy to view someone like Mark only through the lens of his business empire, but those who knew him personally often described him as warm, approachable, and full of humor. He was a husband, father, grandfather, and friend. Beyond the controversies of LuLaRoe, Mark was remembered by many as someone who cared deeply about people's personal growth and happiness. Mary's tribute highlighted this personal side of Mark, painting a picture of a man who offered kindness and encouragement in ways that made a lasting impact on her life. For Mary, who has spent years in the public eye being criticized, doubted, and at times mocked, having someone in the friendship between Mary Brown and Mark Stidham wasn't one forged in front of TV cameras or through the tangled family drama that defines sister wives. Instead, it grew quietly behind the scenes, nurtured through mutual respect, shared values, and a professional connection that eventually evolved into genuine personal trust. To understand why Mary's tribute to Mark carried such heartfelt emotion, one must look closely at how their friendship formed, what it meant to her, and how it became a cornerstone in her life outside of the Brown family dynamic. The starting point, business ties. Mary Brown's introduction to Mark Stidham began through her involvement in LuLaRoe, the clothing company he co-founded with his wife, Deanne. For Mary, joining LuLaRoe wasn't simply about selling leggings or adding another stream of income. It was a lifeline. At the time, she was navigating feelings of loneliness in her plural marriage, struggling to carve out an identity independent of Kody, and searching for opportunities that would give her purpose. Mark, as one of the central leaders in LuLaRoe, interacted with many consultants like Mary, but over time, their professional connection blossomed into friendship. Mary found herself inspired by Mark's motivational speeches at company events, his belief in entrepreneurial empowerment, and his approachable personality. He wasn't just a CEO, he was someone who took a personal interest in the women and men working under the LuLaRoe banner. For Mary, who had long felt invisible in her marriage, this kind of acknowledgement meant everything. From business to bondage, Mary became more involved in LuLaRoe conventions and leadership events. She had more opportunities to spend time with Mark. Their conversations shifted from strictly business to more personal topics: dreams, struggles, resilience. Mark was someone who recognized her not as Kody Brown's wife or as a reality TV personality, but as Mary, an individual with talents, ambitions, and vulnerabilities. That distinction mattered. In the sister wives world, Mary often felt defined by her failures: the catfishing scandal, her inability to have more children, and her deteriorating relationship with Kody. But in her friendship with Mark, she was free to be herself, celebrated for her strengths rather than judged for her shortcomings. Shared values. Another factor that solidified their friendship was their shared values. Both came from faith-centered backgrounds where family, community, and spirituality were emphasized. While their religious paths were not identical, their belief in hard work, loyalty, and personal growth overlapped. Mark, who had built a business empire with his wife, understood the power of partnership and perseverance. Mary, who had endured decades of emotional neglect, resonated with the idea that life's struggles could be stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. These shared values created common ground and laid the foundation for a friendship that was about more than business or small talk. It was about shared life philosophies, emotional support in times of turmoil. Perhaps the most significant aspect of Mary and Mark's friendship was the emotional support Mark provided during turbulent moments in her life. Fans of Sister Wives know that Mary's journey has been fraught with pain. The breakdown of her marriage, the scandal that damaged her reputation, and the isolation she often felt in the plural household. During these times, Mark was part of the circle of friends who reminded Mary that she had worth, and that her life wasn't defined by Kody's rejection. He encouraged her entrepreneurial pursuits, validated her independence, and supported her decision to step into new chapters of her life. Losing such a friend is devastating, because it's not just about losing companionship, it's about losing someone who was there during your darkest hours, cheering you on when others dismissed you, traveling together, and shared experience. An author dimension of Mary and Mark's friendship came from the opportunities they had to travel and share experiences through LuLaRoe's retreats and conventions. These events weren't just about business. They were often filled with motivational talks, team-building exercises, and celebrations of personal growth. For Mary, these trips became escapes from the suffocating environment of Flagstaff and the endless family disputes over property, loyalty, and hierarchy. Traveling allowed her to step outside the role of polygamist wife and embrace her role as a businesswoman and friend. Mark's presence at these events made them all the more meaningful. Their shared laughter, inside jokes, and mutual encouragement turned professional trips into cherished memories. When Mary paid tribute to Mark after his passing, it was these moments she was reflecting on: the times when friendship offered her freedom, and belonging, a friendship built on authenticity at its core. The friendship between Meri and Mark was built on authenticity. In her polygamous marriage, Meri often felt she had to put on a brave face, hiding her true feelings to maintain peace within the family. With Mark, she didn't have to pretend. He was someone who accepted her fully, her strengths, her flaws, her vulnerabilities. That kind of authenticity is rare, especially for someone like Meri, whose entire life had been broadcast on national television. With Mark, she wasn't a reality star. She was simply a friend, the hole left behind when someone like Mark passes away. The void left behind is profound. For Meri, losing him means losing not only a trusted confidant but also a piece of her journey toward self-discovery. Their friendship was proof that healing and empowerment often come not from romantic love, but from the steadfast support of friends who believe in you. This is why her tribute was so emotional and why fans resonated so deeply with it. It wasn't about celebrity gossip, it was about the universal truth that friendships shape us, heal us, and sustain us. Leading into the tribute, know that we've explored the roots and significance of Meri and Mark's friendship. The stage is set to dive into the moment itself, her public tribute after his passing. In Part 4, the tribute, we'll examine what Meri said, how she expressed her grief, and why her words carried so much meaning for fans and friends alike. When news of Mark Stidham's passing broke, Meri Brown didn't stay silent. Instead, she used her platform to pay a heartfelt tribute to the man who had not only been a mentor and colleague but also a true friend. For Meri, this wasn't simply about acknowledging the loss of a public figure. It was personal. Her tribute revealed the depth of their bond, the gratitude she held in her heart, and the profound impact Mark left on her life. The announcement Meri took to Instagram, the platform where she often shares both business updates and glimpses of her personal journey. Fans who follow her are accustomed to seeing motivational posts, photos of her bed and breakfast in Utah, or reflections about resilience. But this post was different. The tone was somber yet grateful. She shared a picture of Mark smiling, full of life, and alongside it, a heartfelt caption that immediately conveyed the depth of her grief. Her words acknowledged the shock of his passing, the hole it left in the lives of those who knew him, and the privilege she felt in having been part of his circle. She described him as a man of vision, kindness, and unwavering belief in others. Expressing gratitude, one of the most striking elements of Meri's tribute was the way she framed her grief through gratitude. Instead of focusing solely on the pain of losing Mark, she emphasized how thankful she was for the time they shared. She wrote about the lessons he had taught her about leadership, about perseverance, and about valuing herself as more than the labels others tried to place on her. She credited Mark for encouraging her during times when she doubted her worth, for reminding her that she could thrive outside of the complicated polygamist world she was tethered to. Fans could feel the authenticity in her words. This wasn't a scripted reality TV moment. It was raw and personal. Honoring his legacy, Meri's tribute also highlighted Mark's legacy. She spoke about his role in building Lulero and, more importantly, about his commitment to empowering others. She mentioned how many lives he had touched, consultants, friends, and family members who had all felt his encouragement and support. By doing this, she positioned his passing not as an end, but as a reminder for those left behind to continue living boldly, just as he had encouraged them to. In essence, her tribute wasn't just about remembering Mark. It was about ensuring that the values he stood for, resilience, courage, vision, lived on in those he left behind. The emotional undertones ridding Meri's tribute. One couldn't miss the emotional undertones that went beyond friendship. For a woman who has spent years feeling unseen in her marriage, this post revealed how much she valued the kind of validation Mark had given her. She used phrases like "you always believed in me" and "thank you for reminding me to keep going." These are not just words of casual appreciation, they reflect the gratitude of someone who had found strength in moments of weakness. Her tribute wasn't just about mourning. It was also about acknowledging how Mark had been instrumental in shaping the woman she is today. Independent, resilient, and unapologetic about pursuing her own path. Fans' reaction. The post immediately caught the attention of Sister Wives fans. Many of them filled the comments with messages of sympathy, but also with words of admiration for Meri. Viewers who had followed her journey from the earliest seasons of the show understood how significant this friendship must have been. They saw how often she had been dismissed or sidelined by Kody and the other wives,